Well, hello, and welcome back to Tackett's House of Horsepower. I'm Steve Tackett, and we're getting close. We're getting real close. We are going to button up the bottom end of this little 283 right here. And by that, I mean we're going to put the oil pump on. We're going to prime the oil pump. And we're going to go ahead and put the oil pan on. Then go ahead and flip it over. There's a few little things that needs to go on it, a water pump and little things, and then we're gonna paint it a beautiful shade of Chevrolet orange. I know you're excited about that. So let's get started. So this is what we're gonna start with. Because this 283 is gonna have the front sump original style oil pan on it. I have to use the little short Nova oil pump, which is a Melling M73 for anyone who wants to look that up. This is the oil pump you have to run with that oil pan. Also, you have to have the shorter drive rod. I covered all this in another video, so I'm not going to go too crazy on it, but you have to have this. This is Nova specific. This is Nova specific. This is Nova specific. So that's difficult to say 3 times fast. But it's all Nova specific. So these are the parts we're going to install right now. All right, bring it in close. When installing an oil pump, okay, the pickup tube, it just presses in here. It's a press fit, okay? You tap it in with a mallet, whatever. It usually goes in nice and easy. Get it all the way down till it's seated there in that groove, all the way up to that groove, okay? That part's easy. This pickup tube has a mounting bracket on it, so I don't have to worry about, some guys, they like to tack weld this. They'll put a tack weld right here, or braze it. You can braze it with some brazing rod. I would recommend doing that if you have a rear sump oil pan and the pickup tube is real short and it just comes off and it sits right about here. A factory stock style rear sump oil pan would have something like that. There's nothing holding it, so I mean, it could vibrate loose, it could fall off. If the pickup tube falls off or comes loose, it's going to cavitate the pump, you're going to suck air, you're going to lose oil pressure, and your engine's going to be very unhappy with you. So, but some aftermarket pans, they have the pickup tube with a couple of mounts that usually bolt to these holes here, these bolt holes here. You don't really need to braze it or tack weld it if you're using a style like that that's bolted down. This one's going to be bolted down, so it's not going to vibrate. It's not going to fall off. It's not going to vibrate loose and come off. So I'm not that worried about it. So I just pressed it in, and we're going to mount it to the. I'll show you in a minute, but that's pretty much it for the pickup tubes. Next thing you're going to have to do is you get one of these little plastic guys right here, and it's got a groove in it in the inside there. That's going to sit down on this groove here on the shaft. Go ahead and stick him on there, and you're going to tap that down till it gets to that groove, and then stop. Don't go any further. You don't got to get crazy on it. These things will break easy if you put too much pressure on it or hit it or anything. It's just a piece of plastic. It's going to break. And really all it does is holds the drive rod from falling out, or when you flip the engine over or anything like that, it could fall out. So it just holds it. It doesn't really do anything other than hold the rod into that groove. That's it. Okay, there he is. You tap it down till it's in the groove, and you can still kind of wiggle it up and down a little bit, but it's seated in the groove. Then this guy also has a little groove. See him? he has a little groove too, right there. You take him, you stick him on here, you tap him in. Boom. Now, it ain't going nowhere. So, there's your drive rod installed, pickup tube is installed. We're almost ready, but there's one more step you gotta do. And this is probably the most important step that you're gonna do, like literally with any engine installation. An oil pump cannot be put on dry. You must prime it. If you do not prime this oil pump, it will not make oil pressure. It will not suck up any oil. You will start the engine up and it will sit there and cook itself in the first couple minutes because it will not make oil pressure. So listen close. It just sounds like metal on metal spinning, right? So I'm going to show you what it sounds like once it's primed. It sounds different. So that's how you'll know whether or not it's ready. All right, so here is priming the oil pump. Right now it's dry, but inside here is 2 gears underneath this plate. And those 2 gears, when they spin, one side is going to create a vacuum and the other side is going to compress the oil and shoot it out the other side. So right now, it just sounds like nothing. So take some oil and put it in this hole right here, right? There it goes. Keep filling it with oil. Put some oil in that hole. And that's my break-in oil inside here. Now listen for the difference. Hear it? That's how you know. And it got harder to turn. That's what you want. You want to hear that difference in tone. When you spin that now, you can hear that the gears are coated with oil and they're creating suction and vacuum and pressure as they're turning. So, and you can feel the difference turning the rod. So that oil pump is now ready to be installed. Okay, I'm gonna drop it on here now. So before I do that, I'm gonna check my surface right here. I don't want anything on here. It needs to be clean and smooth and a good mating surface for the oil pump to sit against. That way there's no leaks. Anything on here that's going to cause the pump to not sit flush is going to cause you to lose oil pressure. So I want to make sure that surface in there is all clean and everything's good to go there. Being that this is a original Nova engine block, it has the correct mounting hole right there for the pickup tube to bolt to, so I don't have to worry about that. But if this was any other engine block, I would have to make sure that hole was drilled and tapped. It's 1/4 I covered all that in another video, but just point it out for you real quick. So now that it's ready, make sure that surface is clean. That surface there is going to sit against that surface there, so it has to be nice and clean and smooth. The drive rod is going to go down that hole right there, and there's 2 dowel pins that you're going to line up. So I'm trying to do this one-handed. It's going to make a little bit of a mess, but that's all right. As soon as you tip it over, oil comes out, but that's all right. Get it on those dowel pins right there, just like that. And then it's got a bolt to hold it down right here. And that gets torqued to 65 foot-pounds. And then we'll put a bolt in there. All right, there we go. We got ourselves an oil pump on there. Bolted down and all. Look at that. Looks good. One thing I want you to look at, to think about too, is remember that this style oil pan and oil pump and pickup tube was designed for 283s and 327s. Now, take a look back here. Look at the distance between the connecting rods and this pickup tube back here. Okay, this is a 283, and a 283 has a 3-inch stroke. Now, there's nothing wrong with a 3-inch stroke. I don't care what she says, but think about this. A 327 has a 3.25 stroke, and a 350 has a 3.48 stroke, and a 400 has a 3.75 stroke. So I don't know, dude. If you're trying to put this oil pan on a 350 or a 400 or a stroker kit, 383 stroker or something like that, you're gonna have problems here. So pay attention to that when you put this on a 350 or anything bigger. Pay attention. Also, if you've got a 4-volt main block, I don't know what you're gonna do about that bracket. You'd have to come up with something else, make your own or something. I don't know. So yeah, this was not designed for 4-volt main blocks or engines with larger strokes. So something to look at. Double check your clearances if you're trying to run it on something bigger than a 327. Hey, where you been? What have you been doing? What have I been doing? Well, lots of cleaning, degreasing, scrubbing, and painting. Take a look. Well, take a look at that. Look at that beautiful Chevrolet orange. Oh my. That's what it's supposed to look like. Respect your elders. Respect your elders there, young bucks. This is where it all started. The small block Chevy. Back in the day, this is what it looks like. So what did I do? I put the oil pan on, cleaned, of course. New starter, engine mounts, new water pump, new alternator. Not too bad, not too bad. I think it's ready. There's one step left. It's kind of the first nerve-wracking step for me. It's kind of, you know, this is the starts to be make or break. So we're gonna do that next, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, so this is it, the first big moment of truth. So what we're going to do is prime the engine. This is the last step for me in the build process. I always do this last, and before it comes off of the engine stand, I want to know for a fact that we have oil pressure. So how do we do that? Well, we put some oil in it, and I've got my break-in oil here, 1030, 2 times the zinc. Yeah, that's what you want. All about that zinc. I put like 4 quarts in it. We don't have to fill it right this second. So dumped in the oil, and I take the valve covers off because I want to see oil come up all these holes right here. I'm going to be watching those to see if I get oil coming up all the push rods. I take my sending unit out and I put in a little gauge. I've got my little handy dandy old mechanical oil pressure gauge. I screw that into the back of the block there. And last but not least, I have an old distributor that I took apart. I took the gear off the bottom and I took the guts out of it. And what I do is I drop this in, and I can spin that with a drill. I can put a drill on this and spin it. So we're going to spin that oil pump, and we're going to pray to God we get oil pressure, because if we don't, well, let's not talk about that. Okay, so you end up with something like this. I use an old distributor because you need the body of the distributor to block an oil passage down there. Without, if you just use a shaft, you won't get actual oil pressure. So you need something with like the shape of it. You can buy a tool that has the body with just a shaft in it, or I don't know. I like to make my own tools sometimes. So anyway, there you go. An old distributor, a drill, and a gauge. Now, it's going to take a second when you first start out because the oil galleys are empty, the oil filter is empty, so it's going to take a second to get oil to get pressure. So here we go, moment of truth. I have not done it yet, so this is a first for me. You're going to see it in real time. This is, like I said, this is the first real moment of truth. If you don't get oil pressure here, you must run inside, shut the lights off, lay down, have yourself a cry. You can weep openly if this doesn't work, because then it means there's a problem and you have to take the engine back apart and find it. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there we go. Now start looking for oil. There you go, there you go. Look at that. See it? It starts coming out. And we're making a mess. Damn it. All right, well, you get the idea. You run this drill till you get oil coming up out of everywhere. That was pretty good, actually. That was squirting out of there pretty good. It looked like it went all the way to 50. So that's not bad considering this is a stock oil pump. It's not even a high volume. So I don't know. Let me get some rags on here. Start cleaning this up before I make a bigger mess. But yeah, there you go. That's awesome. I'm super stoked. That's always the first nerve-wracking, did I do everything right moment. So there it is. We got oil pressure. Hell yeah, we're rolling now. Well, there you have it. I put the valve covers back on it. I ran the drill for a little while longer, made sure I got oil coming up out of all the lifters, and so I know this thing's ready to fire up. So there's a few things I need to steal from the engine that's in there. It has the engine that's in the car right now has a new carburetor, a new fuel pump. It has the metal steel line, the fitted line that goes up from the fuel pump to the carburetor. It also has an HEI distributor. I'm going to keep it that way. I know this engine came with a points distributor, but I don't want to deal with it. So HEI distributor is a really good upgrade for one of these old 283s. It'll run great. I don't want to deal with the points. I want this thing to be trouble-free and daily drivable. Anyone can jump in it and hit the key and go. So really the only upgrade will be the HEI distributor. Other than that, the next time you see this thing, it will be on the engine test stand. So we're going to go over that next in the next little build. So we'll put it on the test stand. We'll tune it, set the timing, adjust the carburetor, anything like that. Run it, break in the cam. That'll be the next nerve-wracking experience. Getting all the lifters to seat. So thank you for watching. I hope it wasn't too boring. Hopefully the next few videos will be a lot more exciting than the build videos have been. So, but thank you for watching, and stay tuned.